Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 115 based on novel. So let's start. After Chen Fo finished speaking, he swung the sword. A primal aura came out from the sword. This aura felt like it came from a primal spirit. The moment the iron sword appeared, even Zhu QZ and Yun QZ, who were fighting in the distance, were stunned. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared hard at the iron sword. To be more accurate, he was staring at the rust on the sword. There are several drops of dried blood on that sword that give off a very familiar aura, blood of the ancient god. This is real ancient god blood, far superior to the aura the giant demon clan blood gives off. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the rust spots. Not right. How could an ancient god be so easily hurt? There is no way that sword is normal. Wang Lin's eyes became serious, and this time he looked toward the sword itself. The moment the iron sword appeared, someone walked out from the sea. No one noticed this person appear. It was as if he was completely invisible. It was the person wearing the mask. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stared at the iron sword and muttered to himself, "This is." Chen Fo was forced to use this sword. This sword was his family's greatest secret. It belonged to the previous Suzaku, who somehow found it and secretly hid it in the Chen family. When the previous Suzaku left behind the sword, he said, "I can't see through this sword with my current cultivation. Future generations, unless it is a disaster that will destroy the family, you mustn't use it." After Chen Fo became Zhu QZ's disciple and just before the war with the Forsaken Immortal clan, Chen Fo secretly went to the hiding place of the iron sword and took it. He wanted to kill Wang Lin and didn't trust the treasure Zhu QZ gave him, so he took out the iron sword. This was his real counter to the 1 billion soul flag. At this moment, a laugh suddenly came from the red mist where Zhu QZ and Yun QZ were battling. Shortly after, a shadow shot out toward where Wang Lin and Chen Fo were. In the blink of an eye, the shadow pierced through the soul fragment encirclement, causing all the soul fragments in its way to dissipate with miserable screams. The encirclement was pierced through by this figure, leaving behind a wide opening. When Wang Lin saw this figure, his expression changed and he backed up. However, just at this moment, waves of creepy laughter came from the figure and a red figure came out from within it. The moment he appeared, he casually waved his hand at Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood and his body shot out like a meteor. His body didn't stop until he was 10,000 feet away, where he coughed out another mouthful of blood. This time there were even small pieces of his internal organs in the blood. The red figure turned into a man with red hair and a half-transparent body, and inside his body was a small monkey. Rays of red light were coming out from the little monkey to form this figure. Wang Lin's heart felt bitter as he said, "Tuo Sen." The figure moved once more and arrived next to Chen Fo. He reached out to throw Chen Fo aside, causing the Suzaku formation to activate on its own to stop him. However, when the figure reached out, a series of crackling sounds came from the Suzaku formation, and with one hit, it shattered. Chen Fo's face suddenly turned extremely pale. The shattering of the Suzaku formation gave him a serious injury on top of his current injuries. After throwing Chen Fo aside, the figure grabbed the iron sword. After taking a careful look, he began to laugh like crazy and said, "It turns out to be this. The blood on this sword is from a 9-star member of my clan. Good. With this and the cultivation planet crystal, I'm 100% confident I can escape." Wang Lin took a deep breath and reached out with his right hand. The 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand and then, after one shake, all the surrounding soul fragments gathered toward the flag. The axe and sword sheaths also flew toward him under his command. The figure looked at Wang Lin, revealed creepy smile, and said, "Little brat, wait until I obtain the cultivation planet crystal and then I'll come and deal with you." With that, he wiped his hand over the sword. The rust on the sword began to move as if it were alive and finally formed one drop of dark red blood. The figure revealed a look of joy and swallowed the drop of blood. Then, while holding the sword, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was inside the red fog where Zhu QZ and Yun QZ were fighting. Zhu Qiuzi's surprised exclamation and Yun Qiuzi's angry roar came from the red mist, followed by the sounds of spells. Chen Fo was seriously injured after being thrown away, but he managed to stabilize his body and was just about to escape. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved the soul flag in his hand and was surrounded by it as he charged toward Chen Fo. Wang Lin thought, I need to use Chen Fo's life to trade for my soul piece and then leave the Suzaku tomb at top speed. Wang Lin's speed reached its limit as he rushed at Chen Fo. Chen Fo was caught by the countless soul fragments and taken away by Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body appeared before Chen Fo and pointed between Chen Fo's eyebrows. Chen Fo's face was pale and his eyes revealed a hint of madness. His Suzaku formation was destroyed, his iron sword was taken, his treasure was broken, and his life force was stolen. He was also seriously injured, making him extremely weak. Now that he had been caught by Wang Lin, he was going to die without a grave. Even if I die, I'll have you die with me. Chen Fo's eyes were filled with madness, he was prepared to explode. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he softly said, Soul piece. The purple symbol that was left in his mind immediately began to shine and appeared between him and Chen Fo. To exact your soul piece from the cultivation planet crystal, you must trade a life for it. At this moment, just as Chen Fo was about to explode, he let out a miserable scream and his eyes dimmed. The purple symbol gave off a demonic light and 2 soul pieces appeared on it. Of the 2 soul pieces, one belonged to Wang Lin and the other to Chen Fo. Chen Fo's soul piece slowly shattered and then Wang Lin's soul piece slowly dissipated into specks of light that slowly entered Wang Lin's forehead. Wang Lin's body started trembling. He could feel that there was something extra in his body, and he was filled with the sense of being whole. On the contrary, Chen Fo, whose eyes dimmed until there was no light, died before he could explode. 4 rays of light shot out from his forehead and disappeared. The 4 rays of light were the 4 elemental spirits Chen Fo devoured from Red Butterfly. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He waved his hand and grabbed one of the elemental spirits while the other 3 disappeared. As for Chen Fo's body, it fell from the sky and into the ocean. Chen Fo's bag of holding flew up and was caught by Wang Lin. Shuo Wutai and Zixin watched all of this from a distance. They looked at each other and then Shuo Wutai let out a secret sigh. In the end, he still wasn't able to tell what he wanted to tell Wang Lin in time. The hatred in Zixin's eyes disappeared. She looked at Chen Fo's sinking body and began to laugh. The hatred in this laugh was extremely monstrous. Chen Fo. Zixin's eyes became cold, then she quickly sat down and her hand formed a mysterious seal. At the same time, flashes of light came from between her eyebrows and several puppet cultivators appeared to protect her. Cultivation furnace, in the end, who is whose cultivation furnace? Wang Lin, in the end, you still weren't able to see through it. You killing Chen Fo granted Zixin's wish, Unfortunately, even I don't know what kind of spell Yun Qiuzi used. This kind of spell is unheard of, it is simply too strange. Even with a sliver of the green dragon's inheritance that has awakened in my mind, I have no memory of this spell. Shuo Wutai revealed a complex expression as he looked at Zixin. Zixin was currently emitting a rainbow-colored light and a powerful aura filled her body. This aura was very similar to Chen Fo's. Wang Lin was wrapped by the soul flag and was about to charge out of this golden sea. But just at this moment, a heaven-shaking sound came from the red mist that Zhu Qiuzi released. A second later, Yun Qiuzi's figure was thrown out of the mist. Blood came out of his mouth, his eyes were blurry, and when he landed, he almost fell down. At the same time, Zhu Qiuzi was also thrown out. His expression was ugly. The vitality he had before disappeared, he was now covered in a deathly aura and blood was coming out of his mouth. A mad laugh came from within the red mist. Shortly after, the red mist disappeared, revealing Tuo Sen's red figure holding the white crystal. His eyes were releasing a red glow. Once I'm free, I'll definitely let you two experience my real strength. While Tuo Sen laughed, his body turned into a ray of lightning and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin. Now it is your turn. Tuo Sen's voice was filled with coldness, and when it entered Wang Lin's ears, it startled him. Wang Lin was still wrapped by the soul flag and quickly flying away. However, Tuo Sen's speed was even faster. In almost a blink of an eye, he caught up to Wang Lin. His gloomy voice entered Wang Lin's ears. "You can't escape, Wang Lin. I have waited for a very long time to devour your inheritance of intelligence." Wang Lin's face was gloomy. He waved his hand and the axe appeared in his grasp. He suddenly turned around, focused all the celestial spiritual energy in his body on the axe, and viciously swung down. A ray of axe energy several hundred feet wide and filled with celestial spiritual energy shot out. This ray of axe energy felt like it could split the heavens. However, Tuo Sen's figure's eyes started glowing red, then he raised his hand and gently pointed at the ray of axe energy, causing it to collapse. Wang Lin quickly backed up. His face was completely pale and he put away the axe, then he took out the soul flag, shook it, and said, "Fuse." With one word, all of the soul fragments besides the ones chasing after Liu Mai began to fuse like crazy. The fusion speed was so fast that it was completed in almost an instant. In an instant, all of the soul fragments and primary souls fused into one. A soul fragment surrounded by a golden-purple glow suddenly appeared. The aura the soul fragment gave off was the same as an early-stage ascendant cultivator's. After it appeared, with a wave of its hand, its body turned from transparent to solid. After creating the ascendant soul, Wang Lin retreated without any hesitation. He knew that this ascendant soul fragment couldn't win. Wang Lin was very clear about this point. "Oh, you do have some skills. No wonder you were able to steal the inheritance of memory when you were only at the core formation stage. However, if it was before I got that drop of blood, this could have stalled me for a bit, but now that I have it, it can't stop me for even half a step." Tuo Sen's red hair moved without any wind and his dominating aura spread out from his body. Tuo Sen began to laugh like crazy as he moved forward, raised his fist, and threw a punch. This punch looked normal, but both Zhu QZ and Yun QZ's expressions were very ugly. The two of them were heavily injured by that one punch and forcibly knocked away. The ascendant soul fragment waved its hand and a purple lance quickly appeared in its grasp. It shook the lance before throwing it and then it grabbed Wang Lin and disappeared. This was Wang Lin's real objective. The fused ascendant soul's purpose was not to fight but to help him escape. The lance pierced through the sky and collided with Tuo Sen's fist. A loud rumbling sound could be heard as the lance shattered. Cracks quickly spread all over the lance, causing it to shatter. Tuo Sen's body didn't move as he looked at where Wang Lin disappeared. He revealed a cruel smile as his right hand reached out and he shouted, "Come back." A giant vortex suddenly appeared in the sky and began to spin slowly. A suction force beyond imagination came from inside it. While Wang Lin was running away, his body suddenly stopped and was pulled back at an unimaginable speed. In almost the blink of an eye, he was pulled back to within 1,000 feet of Tuo Sen. "I said you can't run away." Tuo Sen only took one step to cross 1,000 feet and threw out a punch. Wang Lin's expression was ugly and a feeling of death filled with heart. This feeling was very strong as he made a decision in his heart. With one thought, the ascendant soul fragment suddenly turned around and waved its hands. Both of its hands moved and then a mysterious symbol suddenly appeared. The symbol gave off an amazing aura. The ascendant soul fragment turned into a ray of light and merged with the symbol. At this moment, this symbol was as black as ink. "Break." An ancient voice came from the ascendant soul fragment. "A shattering spell. All of the soul fragments will explode and thus create an unimaginable amount of force." A destructive aura came from the symbol. The aura wasn't strong, but for the first time, Tuo Sen's expression changed. He immediately withdrew his fist and was about to retreat. However, it was too late. The countless soul fragments and the primary souls all exploded. This explosion was even more powerful than when a fused ascendant soul fragment exploded. The black symbol moved like lightning and shattered several feet in front of Tuo Sen. A black ripple suddenly appeared, and it seemed to have intelligence. It didn't spread out randomly but charged toward Tuo Sen. A heaven-shattering sound that shook the entire Suzaku tomb appeared. At this moment, not just the ones inside the Suzaku tomb, but everyone on the planet could feel this aura that could destroy the heavens. With a boom, Tuo Sen's figure was thrown back like a meteor. 1,000 feet away, Tuo Sen's figure was collapsing. The eyes of the little monkey inside his body dimmed, then it closed its eyes and died. However, the red light that formed Tuo Sen's body reformed after dissipating. Although it looked like it would shatter with just a gentle breeze, it still gave off the terrifying aura of a powerful expert. I didn't think that you would have this kind of treasure. Wang Lin, I underestimated you. Tuo Sen's voice came from that figure and was very cold. Aside from the 4 primary souls chasing Liu Mai, all the other soul fragments in the 1 billion soul flag had exploded to create this terrifying explosion. However, even with that, it still wasn't able to completely wipe out this sliver of divine sense from Tuo Senator. He was simply too powerful. Wang Lin felt very bitter in his heart as he let out a sigh and touched his forehead. He wasn't sure if he could hide from Tuo Sen in the heaven-defying bead. He was unsure of what to do. I want to see where you can run to this time. Tuo Sen's body slowly solidified, then he took a step forward. But just at this moment, a ray of light flew out from the sea. Its speed was simply too fast, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived 10 feet from Tuo Sen. The light disappeared, revealing the man wearing the mask. He raised his hand and pointed at Tuo Senator. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he said, "Seal." Tuo Sen's expression changed as he stared at this person, then he retreated once more. The masked man's eyes lit up as 5 rays of light shot out from his fingers. The 5 rays of light turned into 5 chains that flailed about. In the blink of an eye, the 5 chains turned into 5 seals. The seals stacked on top of each other and chased after Tuo Sen. I couldn't seal you before, but now that you have been injured by an Ascendant Cultivator's self-explosion, I can seal you. As the overlapped seals closed in on Tuo Sen, his expression changed. Continuing to retreat, he shouted, "Who are you?" The masked man didn't say a word as his eyes released a mysterious light. The seal flashed and suddenly disappeared, but soon reappeared behind Tuo Sen and landed on him at a very fast speed. Tuo Sen suddenly raised his hand and a red mist came out from his mouth. His body slowly dissipated until it was completely gone. But the red mist didn't disappear, it twisted and churned. Tuo Sen's face appeared in the red mist and said, "I don't care who you are, but when I break free, I'll kill you." The red mist churned a bit before turning to red crystals and raining down on the surroundings like red rain. The masked man reached out with his right hand and white specks of light appeared among the red mist. The white light condensed into a white crystal and landed in his hand. At the same time, the iron sword that Chen Fo took out also appeared. He looked at the iron sword and then put it away. Wang Lin's heart trembled as he stared at the masked man. At this moment, not only Wang Lin's, but the gazes of everyone present were gathered on this person. Yun Qzi's eyes were filled with terror. He immediately recognized that this person was a cultivator whose cultivation he couldn't see through. It has to be said that he could see through cultivators up to the late stage of Ascendant. If he couldn't see through someone, then this person had to be beyond the Ascendant stage. Thinking about this, Yun Qzi's heart trembled violently. Zhu Qzi's eyes became serious as he stared at this person and at the white crystal in this person's hand. Thinking about how this person had extracted the crystal from the void, Zhu Qzi's body trembled. He revealed a look of disbelief and bursted out, You are? The masked man let out a sigh. He calmly looked at Zhu Qzi and said, Zhu Qzi, do you understand that what you did was wrong? Yun Qzi looked at this person and muttered to himself, Yi Wuyo? He is not the first Suzaku. Don't just guess randomly. Zhu Qzi quickly cut Yun Qzi off. He looked at the masked man and respectfully said, Junior greets the Alliance's messenger. Regarding this matter, Junior understands what he did wrong. Alliance messenger, the Cultivation Alliance's messenger. Yun Qzi sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhu Qzi, your lifespan has reached its limit, so you should be dead. There's no need to force yourself to stay. Attempting to shatter the Cultivation Planet Crystal is considered a great crime in the Cultivation Alliance. Looking at the fact that you had your reasons, I won't pursue this matter for now, but you should leave this world right now. Zhu Qiuzi's face was filled with bitterness as he silently nodded. His eyes lit up and he said, I can leave, but the Forsaken Immortal clan. The masked man said, I will deal with it. Zhu Qiuzi took a deep breath, sat down cross-legged, and closed his eyes. He still had a bitter smile on his face as he died. His lifespan was already almost up, but then he stole Chen Fo's lifespan to last longer. Now that he had met the Cultivation Alliance messenger, he had to give it all up. At the moment of his death, he remembered something from a record left behind by the first Suzaku, Yi Wuyo. It said that there was always a Cultivation Alliance messenger on planet Suzaku. The messenger changed every generation and they were very well hidden. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slowly backed up. Just at this moment, the masked man turned around toward Wang Lin and smiled. Brother Nio, do you not remember me? Wang Lin was startled. He stared at this person for a bit, and shortly after, his eyes lit up. The masked man placed his hand on the mask and slowly took it off, revealing his true face. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. It's you. We haven't met in many years, but Brother Nio is still as graceful as before. However, there is still one thing I don't understand. Why did you refuse to become the next Suzaku? On planet Suzaku, at the Sea of Devils, in the land of the ancient god, on the pillar at the middle of the Blood Sea, Tuo Sen suddenly raised his head. He was filled with unwillingness. However, that soon disappeared and was replaced with intense, red light. You can break my sliver of divine sense, but you can't stop me from escaping. Beside him, a drop of dark red blood slowly appeared. Tuo Sen stared at the drop of red blood and revealed a dark expression. With this, it won't be long before I can walk out of here. Wang Lin, I'll spare you this time, but you definitely won't be able to escape next time. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he calmly said, Mo Shi. It is I, Brother Nio, you still haven't answered my question. The man took off his mask. I was indeed the person who Wang Lin met in the temple on that rainy night with whom he talked about life and death. Wang Lin calmly said, my future is not on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin understood now why the white crystal flew toward him. It probably had a lot to do with this person. Moshi looked at Wang Lin, shook his head, and sighed. Unfortunate. Since Brother Nio doesn't want to, then I won't press this matter. His eyes were suddenly filled with confusion and didn't recover for a while. This time his gaze fell on Yun Qiuzi. Forsaken Immortal Clan, 1/3 of planet Suzaku can be given to you, but every 1,000 years, you must hand over the skull of a 9-leaf or higher clan member. Yun Qiuzi, do you agree? Yun Qiuzi's heart felt bitter. He knew that he had no right to refuse right now. This person represented the Cultivation Alliance. The Forsaken Immortal clan stood no chance at all. He heavily nodded. Yun Qiuzi seemed to suddenly become old and his eyes became dim. Just at this moment, waves began to form on the sea below them and the collapse of the Suzaku tomb started again. While the sea raged, Moshi raised his hand and the white crystal in his hand suddenly began to shine brightly. This light suddenly covered the sea and began to spread across the Suzaku tomb. The light spread like tens of thousands of horses galloping over the sea and soon covered the entire Suzaku tomb. Moji softly said, close. With one word, the collapse suddenly stopped, the collapsed earth quickly reformed, and all of the rifts quickly closed. After 10 breaths of time, the entire Suzaku tomb had recovered. Moji looked at the white crystal in his hand one last time and then threw it into the sea. The white crystal quickly sank into the sea and disappeared. Then he pointed at Zhu Qiuzi's corpse and a heart-shaped crystal flew out from between his eyebrows. There were many deep cracks on the crystal, it looked like it could break at any time. But at this moment, the cracks began to mysteriously close, and in 3 breaths of time, there were no cracks left on the crystal. The next Suzaku. His gaze moved past Wang Lin and onto Zhu Wutai where it paused for a moment. Zhu Wutai's heart started beating faster. He was very excited and his body trembled slightly. Green Dragon Bloodline, you are a qualified candidate, but unfortunately, your cultivation hasn't reached the soul transformation stage. Mo Xi's gaze moved from Zhu Wutai and onto Zixin, who was cultivating next to Zhu Wutai. Cultivation furnace, through luck, she was able to reverse the situation. That is also rare. Mo Xi's eyes lit up like he had made a decision. Zhu Wutai let out a bitter smile and secretly sighed. He knew that his cultivation level wasn't high enough and that he had no hope of getting the title of Suzaku. Cultivation furnace, there is something strange about her. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had some issues with Zixin before, so they were more like enemies than friends. He noticed a change in her body. There was something between Zixin and Chen Fo. Although he didn't know exactly what happened between them, Zixin was once Chen Fo's cultivation furnace. Him killing Chen Fo somehow granted this girl her wish, which was something Wang Lin wasn't able to see through at all. He had been cultivating for a long time, but he had never heard of a spell that could allow the cultivation furnace to steal from her master instead. This spell was very mysterious and strange, but the most mysterious and strange spells had their own deadly flaws. Wang Lin then looked at Yun Qzi. He was confident that this matter was definitely related to Yun Qzi. Wang Lin pondered a bit and said, "Lord Messenger." Mo Xi looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin said, "Although he hasn't reached the soul transformation stage yet, that doesn't mean he never will." Right after he said that, Zixin, who was cultivating with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes. Her cold gaze locked onto Wang Lin. Wang Lin could clearly feel a thick aura that belonged to Chen Fo on her. Zixin coldly said, "Wang Lin, what do you mean?" Wang Lin looked at the girl with calm eyes and said, "Junior, when I started cultivating, you weren't even born yet. The smell of your mother's milk hasn't even dried." "Shut up." Zixin's eyes lit up, then she suddenly stood up and the aura of a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator spread out. She stared at Wang Lin and said, "Wang Lin, back then you sent me into the spatial rift and I almost died. I have already remembered this in my heart. Before, your cultivation level was higher, but now your 1 billion soul flag is gone and your cultivation level is only at the early stage of soul transformation. If I wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as waving my hand." Wang Lin coldly looked at Zixin, revealing a hint of mockery, and calmly said, "And if I agree to become the next Suzaku?" The moment he said that, Zixin was startled. She struggled in her heart. In the end, she lowered her head and longer spoke. If Wang Lin really became the next Suzaku and used the Suzaku seal to attack her, she would have no way of resisting. At this moment, she bitterly found out that she was still afraid of Wang Lin. Even though she had Chen Fo's cultivation, this feeling was still there. Mo Xi looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "Brother Nio, do you want to become the next Suzaku?" Wang Lin calmly said, "Lord Messenger, even if I become the next Suzaku, I would only pass it to him." Wang Lin pointed at Zhu Wutai. Zhu Wutai was speechless. His body trembled and his gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with gratitude. Mo Xi faintly smiled. In his view, this title of Suzaku was simply too insignificant. No matter who he gave it to, it wouldn't matter to him at all. On the contrary, it was Wang Lin who interested him. After pondering for a bit, Mo Xi pointed at Zhu Wutai. The heart-shaped crystal flew out and rushed toward Zhu Wutai. Zhu Wutai's body trembled violently as the crystal heart slowly sank into his body between his eyebrows. "Stay here for 1 year and comprehend the Suzaku seal. From now on, you are the 15th Suzaku. However, I didn't break the seal on the cultivation planet crystal. Let's leave it like that." As Mo Xi said that, he waved his sleeves and Yun Qzi and Zixin disappeared. At the same time, Zhu Wutai's body slowly sank into the sea and disappeared. At this moment, only Mo Xi and Wang Lin were left. Wang Lin pondered a bit before clasping his hands and saying, "Many thanks." Mo Xi laughed and said, "Brother Nio, maybe in the future I'll have things that require your help. At that time, don't refuse me. I must leave planet Suzaku and report back to the Cultivation Alliance. If there is a chance in the future, we will meet again. Now, let us leave together." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He shook his head and said, "Lord Messenger, I still have some matters to deal with inside the Suzaku tomb. Moji revealed a smile that was not a smile and nodded. He moved his hand and a red symbol appeared. Remember this symbol. When you want to leave, use your celestial spiritual energy to form this seal and you can leave. Moji took one last thoughtful look at Wang Lin before turning around, taking one step, and disappearing without a trace. At this moment, Wang Lin was the only one around. I have obtained both mine and Wan as soul pieces. The next Suzaku is Ju Wutai, and he is a grateful person. I have helped him, so even if I'm not around, he will look out for the people I know and thus, I can also allow my mind to be at ease. This was the reason why he wanted Ju Wutai to become the next Suzaku, it was so there wouldn't be anything for him to worry about in the future. Wang Lin pondered a bit before flying into the distance. He didn't fly far before he saw 3 rays of black light flying toward him from the distance. The 3 rays of light turned into the 3 primary souls before Wang Lin, one being the Chelin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he took out the soul flag, waved it, and all 3 primary souls went into the flag. This Liu Mai sure has some skill. She was being chased by 4 primary souls and was able to destroy one of them. She has already left the Suzaku tomb. Once I leave here, I must kill her. Even now, I still don't have any great feud with this woman, but again and again she acted against me. She even worked together with Chen Fo to kill me. I can't let her live. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he made up his mind. That one dream with Liu Mai couldn't affect Wang Lin's decision one bit. It was just as Liu Mai had said, aside from Li Muwen, Wang Lin was ruthless even toward women. The loss on this trip to the Suzaku tomb was too great. Only 3 primary souls remained and all of the soul fragments were destroyed. The power of the flag had greatly weakened. But with enough souls, it can be repaired to full power. Unfortunately, wandering souls can't be used, or else fixing it would be a lot easier. The cultivation planet crystal is such an important item that using it to evolve the G realm must be a lie. Right now the most important thing is to find Shuligua. I must obtain that half-moon blade. After Wang Lin released Shuligua, he had been keeping tabs on him. Now he locked onto Shuligua, took one step, turned into green smoke, and rushed over. The matter of the Suzaku tomb ends here. As for the Forsaken Immoral clan, after Yun Qzi came out from the Suzaku tomb, they all retreated to the northwest and settled on a continent there. They wouldn't casually interact with cultivators. Many cultivators died during the war on planet Suzaku, leaving many sects extremely weak and thus, the sects began to mass recruit disciples. Many people who weren't all that qualified to cultivate were taken in by sects. There were also some very talented people that were dragged out of their homes by some sects. They were treated as treasures, and vigilant teachers personally taught them to prepare them to become the cause of their sects. On planet Suzaku, there was only one early-stage ascendant cultivator left. He was the earth-shattering sect's ancestor who spent all his days in closed-door cultivation and didn't care about the world. Although he was unhappy that Ju Wutai was appointed by the Cultivation Alliance messenger, he could only accept it. 1 year later, Ju Wutai walked out from the Suzaku tomb. Although his cultivation was only at the peak of the late stage of soul formation, with the Suzaku seal, he could threaten soul transformation cultivators. He became the person with the lowest cultivation level to become a titled cultivator. He knew that his cultivation level was too low, so after he appeared, he quickly went into closed-door cultivation on Mount Suzaku. The entire planet of Suzaku showed signs of the long-lost peace it once had. This video will end here.